This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Also sponsored by Mask Design, boldly going where no masking kit has gone before. Take your model to the next level of detail and accuracy with a masking kit from Mask Design. Visit Mask Design on Facebook or click the ordering link in the notes below the video.
Dispatch War Rocket Ajax to bring me back his body.
What's up, fellow modelers? Will here. Welcome to the Engine's Chair. This is it. This is the final episode, episode 10, and the War Rocket Ajax is complete. As I'm recording this, it's actually done already. It's sitting across from me. I'm looking at it. It's a beautiful thing, I think, personally. But can't complain. Hey, it's a free 3D file, if I could speak right. And so if you got a 3D printer, download it, check it out, and build it. And I've got the additional enhancements that I've done that I've been working on throughout this build series will be available. Check the link in the notes below this video, and you can download those for free and build this model. And if you build it, please share your photos on any of the model build pages, Colt TV Man, Starship Modeler, any of the ones that you might come to. Feel free to send me pictures if you build this model, because it's a beautiful model. And for it being free, you can't beat it. Robert James Models really did a great job with this, and I did some enhancements to it, but the overall model is still the same model that they put out over there. So please download the enhancements, use them. We'll talk about that more a little bit later in the video, but for now, let's get into it. Give me a minute, I'll put you on the bench, we'll get to work. All right, so I've gotten the clear coat on the War Rocket, at least on the top. I'm still working on that under that wing, underside of that wing. I note to self and to anybody else: do not put Bondo spot and glaze putty on something without completely removing the black gloss coat, because it had a bad interaction and it just totally made it worse than what it was. So now I had to go strip everything off and put more putty under there, and now I'm still working on smoothing it out. So I ended up making it worse than it was. But I don't know what it was. It was just I put some of that Tamiya TS14 gloss black on the underside before, and then when I noticed I still had those issues where you could see where I had gouged out to rerun those wires for the lights, I without taking the TS14 off, I just put some Bondo on top, and it just crackled, and it made these terrible crackly patterns on it. It was a mess. So for future reference, take the gloss coat off before you try the putty, because if you're using the Bondo. The Perfect Plastic Putty, I think, is a little less toxic. Doesn't do as good of a job as bonding, and it doesn't hold up to sanding as well as the Bondo, which is why I like the Bondo when I can use it. But I used a little bit of the Perfect Plastic Putty on the underside just because I got it down to the point where it's just small little imperfections, and then I'll get that sanded smooth and get that repainted with the gloss black, and then I can paint the gold and finish up that bottom. It's on this wing over here is the problem. That's the one I keep having the problem with all the lights, and still have one light that I lost, but I don't have time to fix it now. I've got what is today, the 21st, so I've got just a little over a week to Wonderfest, and I want to have this done within the next couple days. I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to do a wash over this. I don't know that I really need it, but I may try it on the underside just to see how it looks. And it's an oil wash, so if I don't like it, I can take it off with some mineral spirits. Once I put once I've got the clear coat over the entire model, the mineral spirits won't hurt it. It doesn't interact bad with the clear coat I use at all. So what I'm working on now is I got the glass installed on the front using the plastic water bottle. I think I used a Smart Water. I found that the curvature at the top of I think it's like a 32 or 36 ounce bottle of Smart Water was perfect for this front end here. So for anybody else trying to figure out how to what to use to put the glass in, if you want to use the plastic, that actually ended up being perfectly shaped for the front dome to fit in there. So I had to cut it into two pieces. I probably could have done it as one if I thought about it in time, but by the time I thought about it, I'd already cut too much out to use one continuous piece. So I did it in two separate pieces, but I think if you cut that bottle, the top of that plastic bottle just right, you can probably do this in one piece. So if I do another one of these, and I probably will because I've enjoyed this build and I think it's worth doing another one. I've got a couple other things I need to do on another build, which is too late to do on this one, which I need to show you. So before I get into these windows, let me show you something I came across real quick. I'm going to switch you over to my desktop on my computer, so give me just a minute. Alright guys, so what I'm looking at here is now on the instructions it calls for you just to cut some small pieces of plastic tubing for these rear cannons, but you'll notice these are actually double barrel cannons, I guess, or guns or something. It's almost like a gunner position on the back of, on an old World War II bomber. So what I did was I made a part for this, which I'll show you here in a second. But while I was looking at this, I noticed something else. These back half domes here. Now, hopefully YouTube doesn't knock me for saying this, but the front has nipples on it. I don't know what better way to describe it. That's the only way I can think of to describe it. But the back end does not. You can see the back on the studio model actually had additional gunning positions. Again, almost like on the old World War II bombers. So I've modified this part as well, and let me show that to you real quick. Take it to my desktop a second. Now it's too late for me to do this on mine, but this is what I've come. This is just a mock-up of what I've come up with these parts. You can see I've got those gunning positions, and I've removed that nipple on the back of the half domes here and replaced it with the open slot like you see on the studio model. And so those guns, again, the same ones that would be up the top here, you can put down the bottom here now. And I'll have that modified part will be available as part of the download pack for the enhancements that I've done for this model. But I've got that done up, and I think, let me see here real quick. I think I've got, where is it? Wing cannon. Now I've numbered these. In the parentheses you can see here, I've got numbers. These correspond to the numbers in the instructions. If there's no number, then that's because it's a completely new part that I've come up with for this model. And I'm not looking to do up instructions in that, so you'll have to look at the videos and see where these newer parts. Some of them are self-explanatory. You got the rear cannon, which is what I did up, which is what you see on the back there. So there you go. That's what I came up with for that. So that part will be available to use. You just glue it to the back there. And I've also got, oh, I don't remember what part that was. Front hull, wing vents. Well, I don't recall which part number that is. So let me look on my other computer real quick. Let's see what part number that was, and figure out. Actually, I've got it on here. Downloads. Let's see what part we've got for that. So that lower section that I modified is part 9. Nope, sorry, 11 and 12. 11 and 12 are pretty much the same part, but I did make them separate pieces. So let's see, 11 and 12 on here. Here it is, rear cannon ports. And there we go. Those parts that I made. You can see I put little slots on the back. Basically, you would paint all this gold, and this would you just paint with like a flat black or something, and that's it. And then you would glue those cannon parts on, and that would replicate what you see on the studio model here. So, like I said, unfortunately, it's too late for me to do that. I'd have to do a whole lot of tearing apart and re-put, and it's no, I'm not doing it this build. It'll have to be done next build, or somebody else will get the first opportunity to do it. But just wanted to show that real quick. When I was looking at the studio model, I noticed that these are not nipples on the back. These are gunning ports on the back, and then the way these cannons are, I made a part for that. So just wanted to show that real quick. All right, so back into what I'm working on right now is, let me try to bring you down a little bit closer so I can show you what I'm doing here. If I can get my light to shine here so you can see what I'm doing. But basically, I am using micro crystal clear. If my camera will focus. Well, you can read it. Micro crystal clear, and that's what I'm using to fill in these windows. These larger ones are kind of pushing the limits as to how big of an opening you can fill with this stuff. I think much bigger than this, and you would have a hard time with it, but it fills it just fine. And it's easy to do this. Basically, you just get some on you can use a toothpick, or in this case, I'm just using my little fine point piece here. But you just take it and run it around until it fills the window in, just like that. And what you do is, you don't want to get too much on here, because what you don't want is for it to get so much in there that it starts dripping down, especially on these bigger windows. You're going to need quite a bit to do these bigger windows, but you don't want so much on there that it's dripping down inside here, and you get a lump with it. It's not really going to hurt anything if that happens, because this stuff dries, like it says, crystal clear. So you won't even see anything in there. It's not like you're going to have a white lump in there, because this stuff dries clear. But once I get them filled in, you can come back over this with a Q-tip and just work gently along the edges of the window frame and clean this stuff off. And it takes quite a few Q-tips. I've got a box of them here. And just clean this off. It just wipes right off. And if you have a little bit of residue on there, it's okay. Like I said, this stuff's going to dry really clear. And it's good to have one of these fine point Q-tips to come back after you get most of it off and just kind of help shape these in a little bit more. There we go. And that's it. That's how easy it is to fill these windows in with the micro crystal clear. And I'm just doing that along all these windows, and this stuff will dry clear, perfectly clear, and you'll have nice glass windows. I know this works because I think I showed early in an earlier episode that I tested it out on a piece, which I don't think I have anymore, because I used it for a couple different tests and eventually ended up tossing it because it failed. But not on the windows, but on something else I was testing on it. But these will dry, and they'll be perfectly clear, and they'll look just like glass. And remember, I have these dimly lit, so that should look give a nice effect to it once I get all the glass in. But I'm gonna keep working on this. It's basically the same thing. Do this, you repeat it for the bottom windows as well, and that's pretty much it. So once I get these done, we'll come back and see where we're at. But we're getting close to the finish line now, so give me just a little bit. All right, so here it is. Pretty much done at this point. I did a couple little touch-up spots. There's my one wing that actually works properly. and then the other wing that's got a light out. So, oh well. Can't do nothing about it now. Just don't have the time. Got 8 days to Wonderfest as of this point, and everything else looks good. The light turned, the plastic bottle for the glass and the windows for the bridge turned out real nice. The bridge looks good. It's nice and lit up. I may do a little more work on this seam on the bottom of the bridge. I want this seam here because I want to be able, I can remove this if I have to. I didn't make it to where you could just easily remove it, but I can remove it and get to the electronics that are behind the bridge if I have to. But I do want to do it. I'll probably do a little more work on this seam. I'm not really happy with it, but I don't want to putty it up and sand it, and then I don't have, I'd pretty much have to destroy it to get to the electronics behind the bridge, because that's pretty much where I put everything as far as the chips, the AT-Tiny's and all that I can get to from behind the bridge if I have to. But you can see that glass turned out real nice on the half domes there, that micro crystal clear. You can see the bottoms are still drying. They haven't completely dried yet. They will be clear once they've completely dried, just like the top here. So that's how that works out. It works out really well. And all my lighting on the underside here is all lit up. I've got my lenses in place on the front here for those lower lights. Those are part of the files that I'll be putting up. And I got all my paneling done on the underside. Maybe went a little heavy on the paneling, a little heavier than what I was planning, but yeah, it'll work. I didn't do any of the bolts, the riveting on the underside though. I'm mainly just going to leave that for like these panels up the top, and I didn't do any riveting on the top or bottom of the wings. But it's a matter of preference. You can do the riveting all over if you want. But part of the problem is that the tackiness on my my pieces that I was using to do these wore off, and I don't have any more, and now it won't stick to the model. So I'm kind of without being able to get more of it or make more of it. I'm kind of stuck going without for right now. I'll have to see if I can make my own sheets on my Cricut, but I don't know if my Cricut will cut that small. It's a pretty small circle. So, but yeah, she's pretty much done. All I've got left to do now pretty much is attach the fin, which I'm getting ready to do here in a minute, and then just mount it to the base, and we can call this completely done and ready to go for Wonderfest. You can see on the back here too where I the engine, got the engine going there. We got that separate strobing effect on the back and on the inner wing there. The half domes are, if you remember, I said I was dimly lighting them, and they are dimly lit. I don't know if the camera, let me try cutting off the shop light. Give me just a second. Alright, now let's try cutting off the overhead, and we'll see if you can see the dim lighting on these half domes. I may have to cut the monitor light off too, because it's kind of bright. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. I don't think the camera's going to really pick it up. You can see it a little bit there. Camera's just not really picking it up. I can see it in person. It's fine. And the bottom ones, actually you can see them a little bit better, how they're lighting up a little bit. Now these haven't dried all the way, so these will light up better once they're completely dried and clear. But I'm happy with it. Turned out real nice. I've been working on it since I think February, so February, March, April, May, and here we are May. So it took me 4 months of building this, and of course that included the stand as well, and also included a lot of time spent modifying parts, which I did modify a couple other parts. I did those cannons on the back, like I said, and I actually lost my cannons on the back here, so I'm gonna have to redo them. One of them broke. I got spares. I got one laying right here, and I've got another one right here, so I'll just glue those back on. But that's because I had it flipped over when I was doing the underside and it called on something and broke them. But that's fine. I can just put them back in place. I got more of them printed up right here. So I'll do that. I will get that fin mounted and I will get this mounted on the stand and we'll be done. So when we come back, we should be complete with this build. So give me a minute and we'll come back and take a final look at it. All right, so here it is. War Rocket. It's all complete. It's mounted up. You'll notice I added this support in the back here, and that is because the rod here, I didn't take into consideration how much heavier this resin print engine is in the back here. If you do it in FDM, it might be a little bit lighter, but it's a little bit too heavy on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this centerpiece that I redid and move this mount point back, which means I'm going to have to take these vents out that I added, which is fine. It's no big deal. But I'm going to move this point back to kind of make up for that. So I wanted it to nose up some, and I've got the support. You can see I've got it cut at an angle to kind of let it nose up a little bit, but it's nosing up too much. And if I take it off the support, because I've got this to where I can still rotate it around, you can see it noses up a bit. And it's not bad, but my concern is the tension that it's putting on this support column. Remember, this one here is segmented. It's just the discs are glued together and you've got these pieces in the middle. And then you've got one narrow solid rod in the middle, and it's not very thick. So I don't trust the tension that this is putting on it by nosing up more. So I've got this support that I added here. I've got a little piece of vinyl that I put on top here to kind of pad it. And that way I can, if I want to look at it briefly, I can set it up like that and just let it nose up and look at it. But if I'm going to leave it for any period of time, I'm going to set it on the support here. And I'm seeing I don't know where that came from, but I guess I'm going to have to touch that up now. So one little spot that I got to touch up. But other than that, you can see that my strobing wingtip light is working great. And it's in sync with this inner light that syncs up. And disappointment number 2 is that I lost that one light. So you can see it skips that light there. But again, I don't have time to fix it. I could fix it, but I'd have to cut into the wing again and cut open the belly in order to get to where I got to do all the wiring at. And it's just, I don't have time, of course, now, because here it is. We are 4 days out today for Wonderfest. So I'm just going to have to take it as it is. And I'll get dinged on it, but, you know, it is what it is. It's still an enjoyable model to look at. I enjoyed building it, and I'm going to enjoy taking it and showing it off there. There is that engine effect back there, and you can see that light, which I had to fix on the back there. All these glass domes are lit dimly. They're just dimly lit. Let me turn this light off and see if you can see them. And I think you can see it there. You can see it's dimly lit. Same thing on top. Just dimly lit. That's just the way I wanted it when the lights were turned out, that you could see it. You see that one? You can see it's lit. But you can see how that lights up in the dark. You can really see the interior, the bridge there. You can see the command chair there, and you've got the ladders back here, and those stations at the back where everybody sits at. And then in the middle where that light is there, you've got the, I guess it's kind of a plotting station or something. You can see how I did the lights in the ceiling. Those are all lit up. And those lights on the bottom in the front there. The spotlights on either side of the wings, inside of the cannons there. You can see that one's really catching the bright point on that. But you can see how those galley lights are lighting up. One thing I do want to recommend, if you'll remember, if you've watched the rest of these videos, I did one side, I 3D printed lenses for this, and then the other side, I filled it in with resin, with UV resin, and I highly recommend you use the lenses. The UV resin isn't quite, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there are some uneven spots on the side that I used the resin instead of the lenses. And the lenses came out a lot more even, and they light up a lot cleaner. So definitely recommend using those lenses. Let me turn this light back on. But yeah, it turned out nice. Looking forward to taking this and showing it. The bass has 10 sound effects. These 3 buttons do not do anything. And these buttons here do not function at all. These function, but they just don't do anything. I just didn't have enough ports to hook up sound effects. I've only got 10 ports open for sound effects on that card. So they're all wired up. If I push this button and hold it down, you see I get that cannon firing effect, and I lost that cannon. But I like something nice. And then some other sound effects. It's got...
Gordon's alive. He's in our warrior. Prince Baron is aiding him. Baron, I tell you, now is the time to strike.
Now that one I can actually stop. I probably should have done all these to where I could hit it again and stop it if I wanted to move on to another sound effect. Most of these, if I hit it, it's got to kind of play out. And I think that's the sound effect for the ring where it hypnotizes. And for those of you that were asking, I did make a Ming on the end of the spike. But I chose not to mount that one. I tried to make that with magnetic connection, but I got a little leery of drilling a hole in the front here to put a magnet, so I decided not to do that. Instead, this is just attached with white glue. So I could pull this off if I wanted to and attach the one with Ming on it. And I didn't do too bad of a job of painting it. I'm not a figure person, so I don't paint a lot of figures, but I think it turned out pretty decent for the size. Yeah, so I've got that. I've got these other sound effects. All right, so I'm not going to keep playing all the sound effects, but there's a couple other sound effects on there. Of course, the one with General Kala calling for dispatching the war rocket Ajax, that's on there, and a couple other ones I picked out from the movie. But yeah, so this is it, all complete. Really happy with how it turned out, and looking forward to Wonderfest this coming up weekend. So I hope to see some of you there. If you make your way there, please make sure you give me a shout, stop by, say hi. And I'm going to have a couple of these Ming rings laying around. If you want one, just grab one if you see one laying down. I'm just going to set them down somewhere. I just painted a couple of these up real quick, just for something fun to kind of take and leave. I don't know if they'll let me leave them where the model is going to be, but I'll lay them around somewhere. But anyway, that's it. I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for the feedback and the support. Again, if you see me at Wonderfest, if you're going to be at Wonderfest this weekend, please say hi. And make sure that you visit my sponsors, Cass over at Lake Monster Details, Gary over at Mass Design, and Gus over at GCals. The links for their wares are always in the notes below the video, so make sure you check it out. Give them some love. But please, I have these files also. I have the files, the enhanced files for this will be available in the notes below. There'll be a link for it, so make sure you look down there for those. The display stand will also be available. If it's not available, if the link isn't in the notes below yet, it's because I haven't uploaded it yet. So make sure you check back. And if you're interested in the files, now these files will be for sale. The enhanced files for the War Rocket will be free because the model itself is free, and I'm not going to charge for something where I basically modified somebody else's files. So those will be up for free, but the base I'll be asking a little bit for, just so I can get something for providing it. If anybody's interested in building it, you can build it as the display base, or you can go without the rod and build it as just the control station and add in the sound effects card like I showed in the video when I built this. So if you do buy it, I appreciate it. If you take the free files, the only thing I ask, please, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and give me a little love. Other than that, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. It's still free, but it helps me out a lot. So please hit that subscribe button, download the free upgraded files, and build this model. It's a beautiful model. It's free if you have a 3D printer. If not, go buy a 3D printer because the price you're going to pay for the model kit, there is a model kit on Fantastic Plastic. I think I mentioned this before. That comes available every once in a while. I think it's like a $150 model, but it does come with some photo etch from what I've seen, I believe. So, you know, by the time you buy that and buy all the lighting and all that stuff, you're going to pay what you're going to, you know, for a nice, decent, cheap, inexpensive 3D printer. Just buy the 3D printer, get the model for free, and you know, it's a win-win. So, anyway, again, thank you everybody for watching. Till next time, keep modeling.